Hello and welcome to Pillow Talk. Today we are talking about kitchens, which is why my pillow is covered in kitchen, what do you call them? Today my pillow is covered in dish towels because kitchens are the context for today's concept. I used a stapler and I stapled it together. Kitchens can be crazy and everybody wants to be in the kitchen, even the dog, because that's where someone is focused and is creating something. It is magnetic. The kitchen tends to be the activity center of the house. It's like a little factory within that world. It has all sorts of material flowing through it at different times of the day. All sorts of different products are being manufactured by this little factory. And we're not just making widgets here, we are producing food. And with food, there's the consideration of temperature and taste and freshness and variety, and layered on top of all of those logistical considerations are human elements like responsibility and contribution to the family and opportunities to learn new skills and meaningful interactions. And so kitchens are complex. Now, combine all that complexity, human and logistical, with the fact that kitchens are becoming more and more open to surrounding living areas. And so kitchens are starting to feel like they have to be everything to everybody, and that's a difficult spot to be in. People will sometimes ask, Mitch, do you think that this open concept thing is just a fad? And looking at history, I don't, because it's been very gradual and progressive over time. Years and years ago, kitchens were detached from the main house, and then they became attached to houses and they had doors. And then we took away the doors, and then we widened the doors, and now we're knocking down the walls. And oftentimes in these kitchens, the chef can start to feel exposed. So we're gonna dive into the reasons that a chef might feel exposed in their open concept kitchen. And then we'll let the function of the kitchen flow from those reasons for feeling exposed. And I've asked people for input on the social media, and this is what I got. Reason number 1. Feeling pressure from other people watching. Samantha says, I love open concept, but when people are sitting at our counter bar in between the living space and kitchen, just watching me cook, the pressure is on. That's all caps O-N, on. Reason number 2, the mess. Shannon says, for me, the exposure is to the messiness in kitchens. When I entertain, especially, I pile stuff in the sink and have cutting boards everywhere. It's not pretty. Reason number 3, the clutter. Even when a kitchen is cleaned up, kitchen countertops tend to have stuff on them. You walk in the front door, you look across the living space and you see the kitchen, and you see all these items on the countertop. That can feel exposing. Number 4, activity. In a kitchen, there is a lot of traffic, especially when walls come down. There's an island where there used to be a wall, and so there are multiple pathways where there used to be a single entrance. That traffic can feel exposing to some people. Number 5, noise. We can close our eyes and we can choose where we look, but we cannot close our ears. As my mom and Diana both identified, this relationship goes both ways. The kitchen makes a lot of noise that can be disruptive to surrounding living areas, and activities in surrounding living areas can make noise that are disruptive to the chef. There's a lot going on, especially when you open it all up, so you gotta think about the noise. Number 6, personality. Open concept kitchens can feel exposing to those with less extroverted tendencies, those who don't necessarily want to interact with everybody in the house while they're preparing a meal. So taking away the boundaries between their space and surrounding spaces can feel like an intrusion into their internal world. Number 7, rituals. Some people find baking or cooking therapeutic. It's their time to focus a bit more inward, to relax, to regenerate, and when you rip open the walls of their sanctuary, they can feel super exposed. Number 8, individual space. In some households, a person chooses for the kitchen to be their designated space. Other people in the house may have a reading nook, or a yard to play in, or a lazy boy, or a cave, but this member of the family has chosen for their designated space to be in the kitchen. Woo! 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 Ooh! Some of this can get touchy. We gotta be careful here, talking about people's spaces and their personalities and all the things. But if the kitchen is in fact that person's designated space, the place in the house where they find reprieve or solitude or focus, then opening it up to other common areas can feel quite exposing. Those are the 8 reasons that I've come up with. In what other ways might you feel exposed in an open concept kitchen? That was the little question. Now here's the big question. Shannon in her comment made a point that's got me thinking. She talked about front of house versus back of house, which are concepts in restaurants. This is what she said. When I was a server at a restaurant, I made every effort possible to have the front of the house feel calm and effortless. And as soon as I went back to the kitchen, it was always a total madhouse with swearing and chaos. With open concept, you can't shield guests or yourselves to the mess. I love that. And so here's the big question for today. This is a mental practice. Don't get too bogged down in what kitchen you have now or what kitchen you may or may not have in the future. This is just about feeling coming to function. So with this idea of front of house and back of house in mind, think about all of the actions that take place in a kitchen and think about what tools and appliances and spaces you use to accomplish those actions. Where would you want each action to take place? Front of house? Back of house? Somewhere in between? Where would you have food prepared? Where would you have ingredients mixed? Where would you want food to be served? Where would you have dishes washed? Where would you want people to have conversation? Where would all these tools live, flowing from the function which flows from the feeling you're trying to create? Now take it from day to day to more complex situations when you're entertaining tons of people, or when your relatives are in town and they're all up in your kitchen, or when your family morphs and changes with time. How are you going to create a space that's open and pulls people into your kitchen in the way you want them to be there, but meanwhile protects yourself from that feeling of overexposure? Please tell me, I want to know. Thanks for joining for another Pillow Talk. If you're interested in hearing more about personalities and how they play into kitchens and homes, you can watch the 5th segment of the Launch Talk. I've included that link in the description for this video.